back here in the studio with my guest. Let's talk a bit about the tone of the campaign, because I was getting reports that it was a little bit nasty. Did it turn nasty?
It was horrible.
Really?
Right from the way.
Horrible.
Well, the way the Conservatives behaved right from day one, I thought was completely out of order. You know, you had Grant Shapps right at the beginning at Conservative Party conference standing there calling Mark Reckless a liar. Well, what else was he supposed to do? How would you have treated him if he hadn't kept it quiet? Then it was, as we've heard already this evening, you know, sort of very personal attacks on him. Then it disintegrated. Well, he went to Oxford. He got drunk once. How dreadful. And then it's your house price is going to fall.
Okay, let Ian Douglas respond to that.
Well, to be honest, I think that it's a little bit silly for UKIP to come and complain about by-election comments during the course of the by-election when they've been slinging stuff around themselves. I don't really think that... No, I think that you really just need to hold back on this. It's a
Wasn't there a bit of a negative campaigning from the Tories?
There's always negative campaign on both sides. I mean, you know, the reality is that's the nature of elections.
Well, let's put up one of your posters.
Rich, really.
Let's have a look at one. Let's have a look at this poster here. Look at this poster. This is one of the things you put, one of the leaflets, not a poster, leaflet that you put out. And it's interesting that you concentrate. That's fine. Kelly Tolhurst is your candidate. Yep. She's a local businesswoman, marine surveyor, went to school locally. She's a local cancer. But then on Mark Reckless, he grew up in London. He went to Oxford. He was an investment banker and then a political researcher in Westminster. What's wrong with having gone to Oxford?
No, but look at the two of them. You've got to see them both in context. What they're doing here with this, quite legitimately, is saying, what is he saying about Kelly Tolhurst? She has been born, bred in this constituency. She has worked in here. She's stayed here. She is a local. What they're actually saying about him is that, although he is the MP here, he is not the person that was local. He was not born and bred
why did
here.
You choose him to run? Why did you choose him to run as a Tory?
Well, he's chosen to go the other side. They're now highlighting the fact that he wasn't here.
Hold on, excuse me. He was a Tory candidate when he went to Oxford, went to public school,
Andrew,
was an investment banker,
Andrew,
then a political researcher.
Andrew, come on,
he had all these characteristics when he was your candidate.
He did. I didn't select him. Let me just do. I didn't select him. What I'm saying is that this is a legitimate poster that says you make a choice between somebody who is a local person with a local business in the local way, or somebody who clearly wasn't, who is now the MP and has stood for another party. I think it's a legitimate choice.
There's no... Hang
on a second. Are we trying to say that's nasty? I don't think that's nasty at all. Honestly, I think it's quite legitimate to run that up. And I would be very happy to run that poster.
All right, well, could you explain how, if UKIP wins in the early hours of this morning, could you explain how house prices are going to fall?
That was a stupid comment from somebody who just made some idiotic remark based on something else. I know, well, people, you know, you can't always be responsible for everything. Well? I don't know. I don't think he did, actually. Maybe there's something in that.
I mean, the fact is...
No, I don't think he went to Cambridge.
To make an issue of that, as you put it up on the screen, of Mark Reckless's background and so on, what that is the background of is an identikit Cameron Tory.
Absolutely.
In today's Tory party. That's what it is.
Well,
to make an issue of that, what's your point?
Well, this on the left is a very good example of the selection of a good local candidate. I met her, I spoke to her on many occasions. I thought she was great, and I think she deserves to win this seat.
And UKIP made no personal attacks on Kelly Tolhurst whatsoever, but Mark Reckless, you were just chucking them at them left, right and centre. And we talked about Emily Thornberry earlier. Let's not forget about that Tory MP, Benefit Street. Analogy for Strood as well. The contempt you showed for a Conservative MP referred to Strood as the Benefit Street
Which
of
Conservative
the South.
MP?
Well, we don't know.
Well, there was also a bit of negative campaigning. I think we can play you. There was what in America would be regarded as a commercial. Which now in this country the parties can make them and they can put them online. And this was what the Tories had to say. I just remind our viewers about someone who actually was a Conservative MP.
Medway Hospital.
This is how his boss, Nigel Farage, plans to protect the NHS.
And I think we're going to have to move to an insurance-based system of healthcare.
In other words, he wants to privatise it. Don't let UKIP privatise our NHS in Medway. Vote Conservative on the 20th of November.
What's wrong with that? I mean, he did
Absolutely
call.
nothing.
He's on the tape calling for an insurance-based system.
No, he wasn't calling for it. I think. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Sorry, I'm in my mouth and I'm shut down. We have debates in UKIP. Now, this might come as a shock to the old parties such as yourselves, but we actually don't have policy made by one person. We have a grassroots-up approach to policy, so our local councillors are involved, our MPs now, hopefully 2 of them are involved, our MEPs, people like me, our head of policy, the National Executive Committee, and we actually debate things. And we talk about stuff and we come to conclusions, and if new information comes to light, we change our mind. And actually, voters want politicians to
Why
think
don't you
about
stand
things
for an
carefully.
insurance-based system?
Because it's not necessary, because it's not what we want.
There are many creditable
There's no
European
need.
social democracies,
There are,
including
Mr.
Germany,
Thatcher wanted, wasn't it?
including
That
Germany,
corporate
which
quite
is an
publicly.
excellent health system, insurance-based. Now, these 3 traditional parties, they all believe in the centrally taxpayer-financed,
Yes.
free at the point of use, no insurance system,
And stay
NHS.
away.
That's what they
Yes.
believe. They may be
Yes.
right or wrong. That's not for me to say. So why don't you offer something different?
Because we will be looking for an insurance-based system for foreign nationals. And
that's
that's
it.
the thing. So that is where we save the NHS money, so we can afford to keep it free at the point of treatment here in Britain for people
But
who
that
contribute
won't
to the British
include
economy.
European nationals, will it?
Well, not after Brexit,
Right.
no. So they would have to have insurance like we used to have in the old days. It's no great hardship.
No, but at the moment, as long as we're in Europe, you can't force European citizens living here to take out
No, absolutely
insurance,
not.
correct?
We don't. But we do know that we're not exactly sure what the costs are.
that-
But we're talking about up to 2 million health tourism from people outside the European Union.
It would
at
add to the
moment as
debate
well.
about the health service if we had a party taking a different line from the 3 of you, would it not?
Well, it certainly would add to the debate, but it would be a debate that we welcome. We're very keen to debate the NHS on the basis of the fundamental principles that we've always stood for. A taxpayer-funded NHS free at the point of use.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's interesting what was said, that you get Nigel Farage stands up and says he's in favour of an insurance-based approach to the NHS. People then point that out, and then UKIP say it's nothing to do with us.
No, actually, what he said, Vernon, was that I think we are moving towards that. And first of all, it was 2 years ago, and it's not party policy. And isn't it funny how we hear UKIP, somebody in UKIP says something, it might be a member, it might be a councillor, and suddenly that becomes party policy. But the Labour Party...
Well, that was Nigel Farage.
That's the leader of the party.
Well, even
that's not somebody.
That's the leader of the party.
noticed that too.
Harriet Harman, a couple of years ago, was pushing for child benefit to be paid in excess to people overseas, because she said it helped developing nations. Yvette Cooper turns around this week and says, oh no, we're not going to be paying child benefit to children overseas. And that's a legitimate change in policy. But somehow UKIP, it's a U-turn.
Yes.
You may have to get used to in UKIP.
Yeah.
You want to be taken seriously, then you will have to have your policies scrutinised seriously.
Yeah.
When people say
I
things,
quite agree.
people
You're
will
absolutely right.
Well,
Yeah.
as soon as
And we
anybody
want that
says
to
anything,
happen.
it's like, as we had perilously close to repatriation,
Suzanne,
What I'm
you
saying,
say...
then
your
you
policies
change.
aren't
You say,
just
oh,
free.
well,
Okay, let Brian...
Same.
We haven't heard from Brian. Brian Paddock.
Suzanne, you said that when facts change, you change your policy. So what facts changed to change Nigel Farage's view about having an insurance-based NHS?
I think
What
Nigel,
facts changed?
What facts changed? I don't know what facts changed. Maybe he might
he
look
thought it was
at facts.
unpopular.
Exactly.
Well,
That was the fact
okay.
that he discovered.
Oh, my goodness me. And why are you lot suddenly all talking about
Not at all.
Europe and immigration?
No,
For goodness me.
Really
Let's not
happy.
talk
I'm
about,
really happy. But, you
playing
know,
to the voters.
when the leader of a party makes a statement like that, you shouldn't honestly complain that he was scrutinised and then we said, actually, he seems to be saying one thing and you want to do
I'm
another.
not complaining
and
about
that's
it, but
the
what
usual
I'm
story.
saying
That's
is
called
it's
politics.
not party policy. It's
But
not
let me
party
put
policy.
this point to
End
you,
of
Brian
story.
Paddock, that, of course, as UKIP, if it does win more elections, gets a bigger share of the vote, what it stands for will come under more scrutiny. And indeed, I've already done several interviews with Mr Farage on policy issues. And some of it is quite shaky. But I would put this too, and you will know this from the days when the Lib Dems were the insurgent party. What you stand for doesn't really matter very much. People are often voting for none of the above. That's why they're voting. They don't really care too much about individual UKIP policies.
In by-elections, that's absolutely right. People are looking for somebody to kick the government with. And that's why you're getting a lot of people voting for UKIP at the moment. But, I mean, it's generally acknowledged that Labour, when they're in 13 years of Labour, made a complete mess of the economy. You have a look at UKIP's policies. You think that Labour are reckless in terms of public spending and trying to cut back on taxes. You should see the UKIP policies just don't add up at all. And it's when people actually get beyond this emotional reaction to UKIP, saying, oh, yes, well, we want them to win because we want to give the others a kicking. And they start looking at, well, actually, what do they stand for? What's it going to mean in terms of are we going to be better off? You know, the flat rate tax that they're proposing.
Can you tell me how taking people out of on minimum wage out of tax altogether is going to leave people worse off? Can you tell me how extending that 40% tax bracket to £45,000 is going to leave people worse off?
That's the Liberal Democrat policy, I'm sorry, about increasing personal tax allowances,
well, I think
which will go up
your
until
policy
April.
now.
Well,
but
it's actually the Tories' policy
But having a flat rate of 31% tax.
Well, that's gone.
Having a reduction.
Brian. It's gone. It's
they've
not
jumped
part
that,
of-
Brian.
They've jumped that as well.
You have to, Brian, you have to pay attention to these things. Things move very quickly.
It's very difficult to hit a moving target. So that's obviously every 5 minutes UKIP are going to change their policies.
We can land a space rocket on a comet. I'm sure we can do a lot more than that. You know, it's all very well.
UKIP did that too.
We can do that. No, I think that was Europe, I have to say. But you know,
hang on a second.
A lot, can't we, about policy? But I'm sick to death of people attacking UKIP policy. But clearly, you don't know what it is. So
nobody
fine,
knows what it
let's
is.
have
That's
this
the
scratching.
trouble. Not even UKIP knows.
Honestly,
let me give you a copy of our policies. There they
Here you
are
go, Brian.
on the
That's your
table.
personal
They've
copy.
been.
Oh, hold on.
They've
You
been
have-
on
I
the
should get this
website
first.
for a couple of months. That's just the headline.
Hold on,
policy.
that's
There'll
it.
be more. No, there'll be more coming forward in the general election. But I think you can see.
Is this the
no
policy as it
policies.
currently stands?
That's the policy as it currently
That was the
stands.
policy
We
for
have
the,
it, so we do
by-election.
have policy. So no more talk, please, about UKIP not having any policies. And by all means, scrutinise us, but scrutinise us on the policy, not the nonsense.
Are you feeling under more pressure on policy now because you've become more important?
I think it's great that we're having more policies because I think
you
it's
sure about
absolutely yes, absolutely. Because in the past, it's true UKIP has been seen as a single-issue party for the EU, and then it became immigration. But we are a much more rounded party now, and I think our policies are great. They must be good. Labour's nicking them. Okay. The Lib Dems are even nicking some of them, and the Conservatives have taken rather a lot.
Well, let's take the latest row then on immigration. If you get your way and this country leaves the European Union, what will be the status of these EU citizens who are already in the country?
They can stay.
All of them?
Absolutely, unless they are guilty of committing a crime, in which case we would want to deport them, and I think we have the will of the people behind us on that. But yes...
So why was Mark Reckless talking about transitional arrangements?
Yes, well, I suppose the issue is, I guess, that there would be a 2-year period between announcing our intention to leave the European Union and actually doing it. And conceivably, that could be seen as a red light to anyone from anywhere else within those other 27 member states to say, right, this is my last chance, I'd better get to Britain quick. And I think most people would agree that.
No, he wasn't asked about that. He was asked about the Polish plumber who was already here, and the Polish family whose children had been born here, and he still talked about transitional arrangements.
He did, and I think that's where the confusion lay, because he was talking about.
Well, he was confused.
Confused by the question, quite possibly.
Well, the question was quite clear. The question was, we've got a Polish plumber in this constituency, the family's here, the kids may even have been born here, what will the status of that person be? And he started talking about, not what you've said tonight, which is they can say, no questions asked, no doubt about it. He started talking about transitional arrangements.
And work permits.
Have you never been asked a question and you perhaps got the wrong end of the stick?
Never.
Never? Oh, you're
because I just ask the questions, I don't have to answer them. That's the luck of my position. So do we file transitional arrangements for EU citizens under an insurance-based health system and a flat rate tax as ideas that you were once associated with but are no longer?
They are completely different because a transitional period will be a period of negotiation with the European Union and terms and conditions for the people that already are here. And of course, it's not just about the people who are in Britain. It's about trying to make satisfactory arrangements for the Britons who already live in EU states as well.
You've said, Ian Duncan-Smith, that if you don't get substantial change in the renegotiation with Brussels that you would hope to launch if you win the election next year, that you would consider leaving the EU, you would consider voting to depart. So have you given thought to what the status of EU citizens would be in this country?
Well, first of all, I've said I will wait.
I understand that.
And see what the...
But you have indicated if you don't get...
Well, I've said, like the rest of the British public, I want to see what comes out of the negotiations, and at the end of that, you make your mind up as to whether or not you think, on balance, you're better off in the EU or out of the EU. But